So when I heard about a talk show called Late Night with the Devil, I couldn't help but think they brought back the Ellen DeGeneres show?
Josh, the only thing scarier than this movie is your comedy routine.
Welcome to Crosscut. I'm your late night host, Josh.
I'm your other late night host, Chris.
So, this week we are watching Late Night with the Devil. Woo!
Dun, dun, dun.
In May. This feels like it should be a Halloween movie. It's pretty much takes place on Halloween. It's just I don't know, feels so Halloween-y to be talking about it in May. Doesn't feel right, but
it's Halloween in May.
Yeah, it's halfway to Halloween, right?
Yeah, it's good.
So, yes, we are reviewing the new horror film that came out a couple months ago from Shudder. This is a Shudder original, Late Night with the Devil. It is about a live television broadcast that's set on Halloween night 1977 that goes horribly wrong, unleashing evil into the nation's living room.
Oh, yeah.
I saw this in theaters about a month ago or so. I think I told you about it pretty shortly after because I really enjoyed this movie.
I did too.
Okay, good. I'm glad we're on the same page. I wasn't sure how you'd feel. This movie may not be for everybody. I think this is a solid, isolated, takes place over maybe like a few hours, not even a few hours, like a couple hours. I mean, it's basically a late night show. So you figure like, how long is that? Usually like an hour or something like that. So this is all pretty much going throughout the whole show from them coming in, and we actually get introduced. I like the introduction to this movie. I thought that was really cool, where we get some backstory to our main character, played by David Dastmalchian, who's been around for a minute. I've known him for a minute since I first saw him on screen in The Dark Knight all the way back then.
Yeah.
And he's really made a name for himself in the industry, from his role in the first two Ant-Man movies to being Polka Dot Man in the Suicide Squad movie. He was in Dune. He was in Dune. I mean, this guy has really become a name. Yeah. And I always think of him as the modern day Peter Lorre, an actor from like the old Humphrey Bogart days, because he kind of looks like him. Insert side by side shot here. But he's got an interesting story. I was kind of reading about him, about the movie, and this is the first time I can think where I saw him as the lead in a movie, and I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah, I noticed that too, that he's like almost never in any leads. He's always the supporting actor, or he's just in the background, just somewhere there.
Yeah, if anybody wants an interesting backstory, go on IMDb and just read his biography. It's really fascinating, actually.
Hey, you'll see, like, wait a minute, he was in this? No. I'm not
even talking about like acting credits. I'm talking about like him as a person. Like, read his backstory, because he was like originally like an athlete, and then he did like random odd jobs, got into acting, and had some like drug issues at some point, kind of pulled himself together, and now he's a respectable actor. But yeah, this is the first time I can think of seeing him as the lead, and he's great. He really carries, for a movie like this, it's a tricky thing to do because he's playing a late night talk show host, and they have to be so charismatic, so energetic, so full of life and humor, and they really got to, keep you interested throughout. And I thought he did a good job at that. I thought he was believable as this, like, I kind of kept thinking like a Jimmy Fallon type for some reason, like modern day Jimmy Fallon, even though back in the 70s, it was really like they're going for like the Johnny Carson was like the big comparison.
Right. Yeah. Well, I had to watch this movie today throughout the whole day. There was Mother's Day weekend. I didn't have any time to watch it. Like Monday, I was exhausted. I couldn't. I crashed. I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to watch it at work. So I'm watching it piece by piece in parts. But like, I really enjoyed it because I like the theme it's a period piece in the 70s and all that. Mm-hmm. The actress who played Lily, damn, like she's good.
She was a good creepy kid. Um, I just
Yes.
love how she comes on and she's like clearly like so like happy, but something's off. Like she doesn't know how to
Right.
like act, and but she's trying to be like, fun for the camera, but you
Uh-huh.
could just tell
Uh-huh.
something's off. And actually rewatching it yesterday, so my second time watching it, there's like little things you pick up on. Not that you would miss it necessarily the first time around, but like there's the scene where they cut and he's like, "Oh, it's time to make ourselves look good." And she kind of turns to him and says, "What's the matter? Don't I already look good?" But it's like a
They were
different,
staring directly at the camera while
but
saying
it
it.
but it's also like I think it was somebody else's voice. It might have been like his
Yeah,
wife's voice or
I
the
picked that up
June,
too,
something like that.
that
Yeah.
her
So there's like
voice
little,
changed.
yeah, like little subtle things like that that I thought was fascinating. You knew that this is definitely a build up movie.
Oh, yeah.
We have like little things happening. I like the stuff with Kristoff. He's like the psychic
Christo.
meet Kristoff. Okay, he's a take on Kristoff, which is actual psychic back in like the Ed Wood days because he was in the movie Ed Wood.
Yeah.
But yeah, Christo, he is supposed to be the psychic, and then there's the guy that
Mhm,
tries to
mhm.
debunk everything.
Oh my
Um,
god, he was
he was,
so annoying.
but he was good though, and yeah, obviously,
Yes.
like you need that balance. You need the guy that's has to try to disprove. Like we've seen these in like this almost felt like it could have been like a Conjuring movie because not only was it 1970s and the Exorcist thing, they obviously mentioned Ed and Lorraine Warren at some
Right.
point, but also I feel like those types of movies always have the person
The
that's trying to
skeptic.
be the non-believer. That's
Right.
like, yeah, this is that, and his whole thing where he does like the little stopwatch and everybody's that
Oh, that
was
he hypnotized the whole group
that he
thing.
hypnotizes the whole
Yeah.
group. I thought
I
that
had
was
a feeling that
cool.
was gonna happen from the beginning, like, when he's gonna debunk, uh, um, June and Lily,
Mhm.
like, he's gonna hypnotize the whole audience. It's like,
Yeah.
he's gonna do it, and, but that like little slim fear that gets to him when receives the news that the
Hmm.
medium is dead.
Yeah.
Like, why is he dead? He's a fake, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
then,
That's when he's like, is something going on that I don't really know about?
but
Like
he
he's
won't admit it.
right. Yeah, he can't
And
admit it because he can't hand over that big
half
ass
a
check that he's
million
got. Yeah, half a
check.
million dollar, or yeah, half a mil.
Yeah, I was like, but it's like it's slowly entering his head. I was like, maybe there actually is something going on, but I'm not gonna admit it. Oh my god, I started laughing when he's like he pretty much like submitting to the devil. Like, please, I will worship you. I will worship you. Like,
Well, he tries to give the check too. It's like,
yeah,
"Eh." And she goes abracadabra, and it's gone. When you were watching this, I actually because you watched it in parts, that's kind of interesting because this actually might be a movie that could work watching it in parts. Not that I recommend that, but this movie is kind of broken up into segments like a talk show where you
right.
have your first segment and then it kind of and everything is escalating. Did you, after watching each part, kind of have like predictions or think what maybe was going to be going on? For me, like the first time watching this, I was just like, all right, when's it going to get crazy? Because I knew at
Right.
some point it's going to get crazy.
Right. Like, yes, I kept pausing and like right before like the we'll be back with these messages, or right after the messages, but I was thinking more and more like when he goes up to the audience for the first time, and with the Peterman guy, with like,
Right.
yeah, she left like 5 years ago. I was like, okay. But with the whole like close up of the guy in the skeleton mask, I was like,
I
hmm.
wanted to okay. So that to me is an ambiguous thing in the movie. It's never revealed.
Oh,
There's a guy in the or we don't even know if it's a guy, just somebody sitting in the audience wearing a full-on skeleton costume, which is makes sense because it's Halloween. You see other people in the audience wearing costumes. That's
yeah,
not out of the norm. But they kind of focus on this character every once in a while. You'll see it like coming back from like a commercial, and you just kind
yeah,
of see him in the background. And
yeah.
then during the big final, I don't even know what to call it, the montage of craziness that goes on at the end, you see him in the woods with all the other kind of characters, but he's still kind of like in the focus. So I was just wondering,
There.
like, what is was
Well,
that just kind of a red herring maybe?
I have a feeling yes, it was a red herring because there's only one time that they really do a close up on him when the medium saying an unmarried man wearing a wedding ring. He was like, "Why are you close? Why are you zooming into this character for? Like, is he a murderer? And it's a token, a trophy is the wedding ring or something? Or that's where my head was going. But then they explain it like that's actually him with the wedding ring and unmarried mini.
Mhm.
Like, okay, so that kind of like debunks the red herring, but yeah, you're right. It's still going through the whole movie. There's a couple things that aren't explained, like
Right.
the when the demon is talking, he said, "Oh, we go a while back, don't you know the tall
The
tree?"
tall trees, yeah. Yeah.
Like,
So,
where's that come from? I know it's got to be
well,
from the Grove, from his
the
like secret
grove,
club thing.
right. And I guess that is supposed to be ambiguous too, because like what actually went on there?
Um,
Obviously, there
as you
was some
know,
weird stuff going on. I think ultimately the idea is he sold his soul to the devil for fame, and the price he had to pay was his wife.
right?
Spoilers.
Well, oh yeah, that's a big spoiler.
Up with that in the beginning. Um, so that was, I think ultimately that was the idea, and I think maybe you start to kind of figure that out when you find out the wife was sick and with cancer. You're like, okay, something obviously was going on because they say something like she never smoked, and
Right, because
so
she's
okay,
dying from lung cancer. Yeah,
right. So obviously something happened, and I think the idea is he sold his soul to the devil for
yeah.
fame, and he had to pay the
Um,
price.
yep, he had paid a price, and I don't know. Each little thing going throughout is it's so smooth, even when it's just like behind, like cut to commercial, and you see them in the back. Oh, and I like the transition of black and white when they're in behind curtain. You know,
Did you notice? So I didn't notice it the first time around. I actually didn't realize this until I watched a video about it and then rewatched it. So they're making like a behind the scenes of it because at the end, well, obviously it's very like kind of shaky cam when you watch those black and white parts.
yeah,
But at the end, when all the craziness is going on and you see all the people running out, you actually see a guy with a
a
film
camera.
camera running
Yeah,
out.
I
And I think he
noticed
was
that.
the one supposed to be filming this behind the scenes stuff going on. I think that was at least the idea. So I like
Okay.
that because it broke up the 4:3 aspect ratio, kind
Yeah.
of, the talk show, the clean talk show for the most part. I do like that stuff in the beginning where it's like all the different things he had to do to get his ratings. He's like arm wrestling like a little guy and doing all this other crazy stuff. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, just seeing that kind of getting broken up, and then that's why I think that ending scene is very effective because they go into more of like a cinematic
Yeah.
look from this angle, and I don't know, I thought it worked for me. I really enjoyed this. I like the characters. Poor Gus got so screwed. If I
Oh,
was Gus, I don't know if you would have been this way too. I mean, obviously he has a very high profile job. He is like the right hand man. I don't know
right.
what they're
The
called in
host.
late. I don't know, but right. I guess I don't know if they're called co-hosts, but they're because obviously like the host is just the host. So I don't. He wouldn't be called the co-host, or else they'd both be up there.
Right.
But I
Right.
don't. I don't know what they're actually called. It's like his like commentary guy.
Yeah,
Um,
like in the Ellen DeGeneres show, she always has
right.
that one guy that's there.
Yeah, just like your I don't know, just like he breaks it up with humor every once in a while.
Yeah.
That I don't know, like there's so many times where I'm watching the movie, I'm just like, Gus, just get out of there, just leave, just go, man. He has that whole scene where he's talking to Leo, that asshole producer guy, which I couldn't
Mhm.
stand. But I don't know, I just feel like that was like, we did Fall Guy last week with that type of producer, and here is this type of producer that's
Different guy.
smoking, drinking on the side, and just like,
Yeah.
yeah, so the rating, the Cavendishes are here, and yeah, we're gonna get a 40 share, 50 share, maybe, stuff like that. So I don't know. I thought they did a good job with that. Just even like the crew members running around just felt
Yeah, I
very
like that
TV
part.
show. Very,
Yeah, yeah,
we
very, very TV show.
obviously you and I don't have much experience in like the live production, but we, in Full Sail we took what was it called, HD.
HD
So,
Productions, yeah.
we got to see kind of what it'd be like running around behind the
Right.
scenes. So I thought that was cool how they did that. But yeah, I think the main guy, David Dismalchian as Jack, was it Jack Delroy?
That yeah.
Night Owls with Jack Delroy is coming back. Stay
Mr.
tuned.
Midnight.
Mr. Midnight. So I thought he was great, man. I'd like to see him in more lead
More leading
roles.
roles, yeah.
But for a
Did
movie
a
like
really
this,
good
where
job.
okay, I got to bring this up to kind of end it, which actually goes back
Well,
to the beginning of the movie. What did you think of the nonstop production company logos?
oh my god! Yes, I was. I wanted to say that too. There was like 15 logos, one after the other, one after the other. It's like,
There's a it
is it gonna
reminded
start now?
I know when I saw that in the theaters, because I saw this in theaters with maybe like 10 other people, and people just started laughing after like the sixth or seventh one, because you're just literally like, wait, is the
Ridiculous.
movie starting? There's like a joke in Family Guy where Peter goes to the movies and he's like, I can never tell when the production company logos end and the movie begins.
Here we go. Movie! Well, now that seems intentionally misleading.
And it just kept going and going. He's like, oh, they got me. Oh, so yeah.
Oh
Um,
yeah, like I thought after like seeing Shutter, okay, now it's gonna go. Like no, there's like four more. I'm like
I don't know. I don't know if that was just a joke in general or if that legit was all these, because some of them looked fake, like they look like
some of
fake
them did.
production companies. But you also have to wonder, for a movie like this to get funded, maybe it needed a shit ton of production companies to
Yeah, I mean it doesn't
get
really
behind
have like
it.
a big company on
Right.
there.
Like this was probably like this is a Shutter original, but it's probably made before Shutter acquired it, I'm thinking. So they probably
Maybe.
needed backing and
Right. Yeah.
a bunch of companies to be like, sure, we'll give you 100 grand, but you got to put our logo in the beginning. And if you had 15 of them, then that's what happens. So, I mean, it's crazy. I should look. I'm going to look into it and see if there actually are all these companies, or if that
Yeah.
was a joke. Because I don't know. It's
Oh,
kind of like even yesterday when I was watching it, I couldn't help but just chuckle because it just kept going. I'm like, oh my goodness. I mean,
I
I
remember.
guess that's how you got to get your movie made. So, Late Night with the Devil. Ultimately, I think it's a good time. Watch this. As far as horror movies go, this is probably my favorite horror movie of 2024. Not that
Mhm.
it hasn't really been that strong of a year, but this definitely would be at the top of my list, probably even by the end of the year with whatever else is coming out. I
Yeah,
think it's interesting. I
it
think it has
is.
an interesting, fascinating sort of take on talk shows of the 70s, but also like the history of just like stuff going on in the 70s with all the exorcism craziness going on. So I think they do a good job with that. For a lot of unknown actors who I looked up, I think this was filmed in like New Zealand or maybe Australia. I think a
Okay.
lot of them were like locals there, but I thought they did great
Yeah,
for the
they did
roles that they
great. Yeah.
played.
I really like the performance of the girl. Like,
She was
she did
great.
an awesome job.
Yeah, that's probably the trickiest part of a movie like this. Maybe that and the lead actor trying to sell that talk show vibe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you want the girl to be creepy and sell that, and she does a great job. So I give Late Night with the Devil 2 late night thumbs up. I would say stay up. This is a movie that you would stay up till midnight to watch.
Yeah. Like I wanted to watch it at night or just in a dark place, but I didn't have the time for it. So but it's definitely worth watching if you're definitely into horror for one. I don't know, it's so smooth to me, even for like a 70s talk show. It just works together. I don't know how, but it works.
It
The
works.
mesh those two together, a horror with a 70s talk show, it works.
So we're gonna end this, unlike in Late Night with the Devil, on a bloody set with a bunch of dead bodies. We're just gonna keep it nice and clean here. So I'd like to thank y'all for watching. Chris, you take it from here.
Cut print, moving on.
The show's over. I'm gonna put my pants back on.
Oh my god.
Just be happy you didn't see my butt.